We're live. Good day, everyone. I'm trusting that all is well. Today, we'll be speaking about parental alienation. We'll allow a moment for the space to breathe. I always need to get settled in and allow things to flow naturally. This is actually my first time going live on this particular platform. And it's a topic where before I decided to do this, I was viewing other topics on this platform for the subject parental alienation. And the video that had the most views were approximately 144,000. And it just, let's compare that to the 9 billion people in the world, and we can see how such small of a number that is. And that's why this title has to do with education because parental alienation is something that I continue to experience and I'm able to smirk about it now. But it was a long time coming. And when I was going through it, when I was experiencing it, and just to go ahead and elaborate briefly on what it is, because I'm able to give the definition per se from a first-hand account rather than what, let's say, a definition may, what Webster's dictionary may say, or something of that magnitude. Parental alienation is exactly what it sounds like. It's when a parent is alienated from a child. To give us an example, imagine, say, you don't have to be married, but imagine being in some type of courtship with someone. You are producing or creating a child only to have that a parent, either or, man or woman, take the child away from you and sever all ties. That includes communication via phone or any type. Um, it can range from not adhering to visiting visiting, set visiting schedules. It can range from anything, but primarily withholding access from a child to a parent. Now, I have 6 children. My oldest child, Alyssa Glover, she entered this realm when I was at the age of 20, and I was a college student at the time at the University of Southern Miss in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, looking, following the quote unquote American dream, graduate high school, go to college, get a degree, and be on your way to make millions per se. That was the American dream, that the so-called American dream that I grew up on. And things quite did not go as planned. And with me being a younger man at the time, it was a lesson that I wouldn't say was needed. I want to be mindful of the words I'm using, but it was a lesson that because I experienced it, I am now able to share those experiences in a global manner to help someone who is likely going through this particular scenario. And also, it could serve as a, let's say, a therapeutic a reliever, a stress reliever, albeit, do I love my children? Absolutely. Do I want to see them at will? Absolutely. But to harp on something that is out of my control wouldn't be the balanced thing to do. So, parental alienation not only affects the targeted parent in my scenario, that is what I would be labeled as. We have an alienator. And this is not to demean or bash anyone. Like, I am so beyond that from my early years of experiencing this, that this is truly solely educational to allow others to cope with what they may be going through it, and to say, hey, you're not alone, albeit in 2006, yep, 2006, 2007, the internet wasn't as prevalent as it is today. And that led me to figure this thing out to the best of my ability. And it was, let's say, it was an uphill battle, to say the least. A lot of long nights, a lot of worrying, a lot of concerns and things of that nature. And I made a vow to myself. I said that when I get through this, I will commit myself to speaking on this publicly to help others, to be that beacon, if you may, for others that may be in darkness. Without darkness, there would be no light. So if you're going through or know someone who is experiencing, notice that I am saying experiencing rather than saying a victim. I'm not a victim of anything. Our projection, our what we know as, many of us would call life, will have up and downs. That's what energy is, and that's what we are. When I was younger, or when I was first experiencing this situation, one of the first emotions that we can feel is anger along with hurt. And that will cause the targeted parent in this scenario to maybe say things or act in a manner that likely will not help the situation, and only could, well, I wouldn't say only, but it could, your actions could perhaps be used against you later. Now, again, being mindful, I was young, and emotions, when you're that age, 20, 21, and you love children, then things can get sporadic, and you always want to ask why. That's another thing. Why is this happening to me? And I've experienced as our best teacher, and I know that nothing is placed upon us that we cannot bear. Absolutely nothing. And as much as I love my oldest child, as much as I love the others as well, if it took me to be without my daughter to get in front of a camera and assist others to better cope with what they're going through, or for eventual parents to see this and say, hey, I may not want to place that burden on anyone. I can't say that if I could write my, say, let's say, reincarnated life, if I could write it out, that I would not do it again. But because I don't want to do it again, that's why I'm doing this now, to, make amends for anything that may transpire after this. And to anyone who is experiencing this, as easy as it may sound, and that's why I know when I was looking for information on parental alienation, I saw quite a few people speaking on the topic that has never went through it. And it's like, it's akin to getting your heart broke. That's nothing that any of us will be able to explain. You're just going to have to experience it yourself. You got to go through that. Now, we don't want you to necessarily know what that feels like, but it's probably going to happen. And that's what parental alienation is akin to feeling. Like you cannot explain it accurately, precisely, authentically, by my estimation, if you haven't been a part of it. I know my life has been quite clean. Like I'm not an alcoholic. I don't drink. Have I had sips of wine occasionally? Occasional as in once a year, maybe twice a year or twice every other year. I don't party. I don't club. I mean, if there was a such thing as a popular square, that would probably be me. You know, I didn't do anything. I didn't even go to my high school prom for context or the graduation from college. I didn't care to go. I'm quite secluded. I like to stay to myself, avoid trouble as much as I can. And I've always been that way. So when this scenario occurred, I was like, okay, it was quite unbelievable at first. At first, I felt it was a situation that happened predominantly in the community of those who share the avatar skin avatar, the paint suit that I have on. But as time went on, I realized that this is an international issue, a worldwide issue, a planet issue, a planetary issue. And it's not only women taking children away from men, but men, I learned, do the same. Now, the first thing that comes to, or one of the first things that comes to mind is, why don't you just go to court? And why don't you just do that? That's the typical neophyte response. And when you are in a, let's just say the issue with parental alienation is a top down one, because in this time, this age, and I'm speaking the last 6,000 years, there has been a lot of abuse towards women and children, particularly. And it's even inculcated in particular sects, cults, scriptures of how women are and children from some exterior external forces suggesting sacrificing children. That is again condoned by their dogmatic text, to say the least. So we can see that this is not a modern scenario, not a modern issue. It's something that has been stemming for a while. Again, from lack of honor to the woman and child, particularly the womb. Let's start there, the womb. And if we're not honoring the womb, the children that comes out of those wombs, a lot of times, many of times, just imagine how they would be. And that's what I am looking to restore. And that's overall respect, just in general. Do unto others as you will have them do unto you, and balance. Balance. Mayat. Maat. For anyone who would like to look that up, that is the etymological word for math. And it has to deal with, evening things out. And me or any of us, because I know anyone who is watching this is only a reflection of myself. I look to balance my projection by doing all that I can do to keep my heart light. And some of what keeps my heart light is educating. And then going forward with the court conversation, I know that if I knew then what I know now, I would have never decided to move forward in being the plaintiff in one, two, three different states. I wouldn't have did any of that because it's solely a money grab. No one, I would like to believe, I would like to know. Well, let's talk about me. No one is going to care for your children as much as their parents in the ideal scenario. In this instance, I'm just going to stick with me. No one is going to care for your child as much as you. And if you don't know, well, let's say ignorance of the law is no defense, say of the mundane law, or that can even go at a higher level, a supreme level, a cosmic level. Ignorance of the law is no defense. And as much as I did study and learn, experience is your greatest teacher. Part of parental alienation includes depression. And when I was 22, 21, 22, 23, somewhere in that range, I experienced depression so much so that you could have put my face beside the word in the dictionary or what have you. And again, I can laugh about it now. But the relief, the weight that we feel once that is lifted from us by going within, I know I wish that and speaking on knowing then what I know now, spirituality really lightened the load for me. It allowed me to have an understanding of the whys. Everything has opposites, everything has its polarities, and there's no positive without negative. Now, distorted things I tend to want to avoid, but as we're aware, there are going to be some distorted things that take place. But how do we respond to that? How do we respond? Why did it happen to you? Maybe it happened to me because someone will watch this video who doesn't have a child yet and say, hmm, I didn't know anything about parental alienation, but that's not anything that I would want to do to someone. And if only one man or woman, boy or girl, can see this video and have that thought and actually live their lives, not only looking to keep that unit together as one, but they can also educate others. And if they are a friend to someone who is committing that deed, they could counsel in a manner that may balance that situation. So in the future, I plan on doing a few more streams to speak about more exacts of my situation. And I look forward to eventual comments, questions, or even if there's a panel or one-on-one, whatever I can do to help others is really at the forefront of my projection. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, love is the solution to war, knowledge is a build, and I'm not about peace. That's division. I'm about wholeness.